Am I the idiot for laughing in my mother's friend's face when she told me to go to my room? I 25F, don't speak to my mother, like at all. I had to go to my mother's house today to pick up an important document that I left behind when I moved out 7 years ago. As soon as I got to the house, my mother suddenly had a massive emergency, and realized that it was apparently her friend's funeral today and she completely forgot about it. I couldn't help but internally roll my eyes, as there is always some drama, hence why I have gone no/very low contact. She asked me if I would watch my two younger brothers, 7 and 11, whilst she went to the funeral. And I said absolutely not, as it's my only day off, I have plans, and I have no relationship with them due to my mother stopping them from seeing me for years. I just wanted to get my birth certificate and leave. My mother asked her friend if she would babysit and asked me to stay for 10 minutes until her friend came. I didn't even get the opportunity to say no before my mother left the house. I was seething but resolved to wait 10 minutes. My mother's friend turned up and started berating me for not agreeing to look after my brothers whilst my mother went to the funeral. I said, I don't have anything to do with my mother, it's my day off work, and I'm under no obligation to look after anyone else's children. My mother's friend then told me to go to my room. I laughed in her face and started to leave the house, and she asked me where I was going. And I told her, my room, at my apartment, that I pay for with my big girl job. Because I'm an adult, not a child. And don't ever speak down to me like that again. And I left. My mother has left me loads of messages and missed calls saying I'm an for the way I spoke to her friend. I do admit I look kinda young, but I still am not happy with the way my mother's friend spoke to me. Comment 1. I just ordered copies of my birth certificate online through Vital Check. If you know your city and state of birth, and preferably the hospital at which you were born. I was born in Major City, so there were several. You can just order copies straight from the relevant county clerk and have them shipped to you. It's not terribly expensive, about $15 for one copy, $5 for additional copies. I got 3 because why not? And $20 for UPS. Beats the hell out of having to deal with a crazy parent who holds your stuff hostage and sends her flying monkeys after you. Comment 2. Same applies for your social security card, very easy to get the replacement card. I also recommend getting a passport if one can afford it, as you can easily get the actual passport booklet itself and the passport card. They are good for 10 years, and unlike a driver's license, a passport does not have your address on it, so that you can keep your address secure. Also perfect for defending I-9 status for employment without needing to bring a bunch of paperwork. Passport is sufficient on its own. Also, I recommend if people are renters who may change addresses periodically to get a P.O. box. They are not that expensive, and having security around your packages and mail, especially if you have roommates or any others living under the same roof who may not be trustworthy, to keep your mail and packages secure. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for reminding my mom's friend she's not actually related? Throwaway account because my parents follow my main. I'm on mobile, so please excuse the formatting. I really don't feel like I was a jerk here, but I figured I should reach out to the people of Reddit for an unbiased opinion. My 16F mom has a friend that she's known since before I was born. We'll call my mom's friend E. E and her husband, C, are friends with my parents, and I just think it's a little weird at their age to have besties. Like, it's perfectly fine as adults to have your own friends, but my mom and E call each other their village, and C and my dad have literally been friends since middle school and hang out all the time. They're at our house for dinner or game night, or to work on projects at least twice a week. We also go to their house a lot, and whenever our families hang out together, E and C's daughter H, 13F, also wants to hang out with me. It's just a little irritating to have a younger kid always tagging around. If I tell her to leave me alone, she usually will just go hang out with our moms, but it doesn't change the fact that she's just in my house a lot. So on to the situation where I may have been the a-hole. I got home from school, E and H are at my house. E is at the kitchen table, so she sees me come in and says hi. I've had a long day and I'm tired, so I just ignore her and go upstairs. H is in the game room, so that's even more irritating, and I just go in my room. I come down for a drink of water around dinner time, and C is now over too. Everybody is just hanging around in my house, and frankly it's just a little irritating. My dad and C come in from the deck where I guess they're grilling. My dad asks me if I said hi to Aunt E, Uncle C, and my cousin. This just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because technically they're not related, even if they have known each other my whole life. So I told E just honestly, you know you're not actually my aunt, right? She looked kind of surprised, but she smiled and said she knew, so I didn't think anybody was upset or anything. Then the next week was my birthday party. When I asked my mom when C, E, and H were getting there, she said they weren't coming. I expressed my surprise because I didn't think there was any issue over me telling the truth, but my mom gave me a really aggravated face and said, "You can't expect them to come over after you act like they're not welcome all the time, right?" Then went on about how I can't have it both ways, but it's not like that. I just don't get why we hang out all the time, it seems excessive, and a birthday is a different thing. They've always come to my parties. Even last year when H was not doing well, they still dropped in to give me my gift. Now all our friends/family at the party keep asking where they are, and it's just stressing me out. My mom keeps asking me if I want her to call them and invite them. My dad keeps asking me to stop pouting, but I'm really not. I just don't get why we have to act like we're family and hang out all the time. Comment 1. YTA, your parents absolutely have every right to have their friends over to their house that they paid for any time they want. And it sounds like they are all very close since your mom calls them her village. They likely traded babysitting with each other while you and H were little, which is a huge help for parents, trust me. You were rude and disrespectful to people who have been nothing but kind to you. However, you are 16 and are going to make mistakes by the boatload. It's okay. You are also very much allowed to be annoyed with people and want time to yourself, totally okay, too. You just need to get better about how you express yourself. But again, you are young and learning. So take a breath and then go sit down with your parents. Let them know you don't feel comfortable with the family titles for their friends. And let them know you're irritated that you don't get as much time in your house with just you and the parents as you'd like, which makes it very hard for you to relax. Then ask them to help you come up with some plans for your family. Maybe they can give you a warning when their friends are over so you don't get ambushed after school. Or maybe on those nights you can have dinner in your room or the game room if you don't like socializing, and your parents can handle hosting their friends by themselves. You are part of that house too, so you definitely should have some say in who visits. You just went about it in the wrong way. If, after you have a good sit-down talk with your parents, they tell you to stop complaining or to suck it up or some other dismissive phrase, then they become the AHs. And you should find your own friend's house to hang out at until you're grown and can get your own place. Good luck, OP. ETA, I also very much hated calling my mom's friends aunts and uncles, and don't do that with my kid. It was so awkward growing up. Comment 2. Well, when you are not getting a lot of time to yourself at home, it makes sense you don't connect much with friends at school. You probably are more standoff because school is your quiet time. That happens sometimes. And trying to be friends with H can be hard when you can't set your own limitations on interactions. It's great that you get along with her, but sucks that you can't get away when you'd like. Tell your parents all this. Even if you don't have all your thoughts completely sorted on it, just start the conversation. Tell them you're having troubles but are not sure how to express it. That you feel like your boundaries are constantly being crossed but don't know where those boundaries are fully yet. Try your best not to make judgments about how they live and what friends they keep. They are people, not just parents, and will have friends and ideas and social lives different from your own. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for making my mom's friends find a hotel while staying in my city? I, 42M, live on the opposite side of the country from my parents, and me and my husband, 45M, happily accommodate them in our condo when they come to visit. We've got a guest room and guest bath, so it's not usually an imposition. For reasons I can't explain, my mom seems to be absolutely in love with the condo and talks about it frequently. One day, and without my knowledge, my mom offered up my place to two of her friends, a pair of women around her age, that were going to be traveling to my city. She called to ask me after the fact, almost certainly expecting that I'd say yes. She tried to sweeten the deal, guilt-trip me into it by saying they'd cook for me, and that one of them just lost both her husband and son and could use the financial assistance and company. But the reality is that I've never met these women. Both me and my husband work during the day, and I feel like I don't owe my place to these strangers, no matter their life situation. I recommended some hotels they could stay at instead and left it at that. Here's where it gets weird. When I returned home to attend my grandmother's funeral, this woman was there and confronted me. It was, frankly, uncomfortable. She introduced herself as, I'm so and so, the person who you wouldn't let stay at your place. I brushed it off with a friendly, it's nice to finally meet you, I hope you enjoyed your time in city, but I couldn't help but feel surprised that she, a total stranger to me, was offended that I wouldn't offer up my place. I empathize that she's had a lot of hardships and that my actions meant she had to pay hundreds of dollars for accommodation, but I've still got a strong feeling that I'm NTA here. Am I right? Comment 1. It's funny, until all these replies, it never truly hit me how inappropriate and didn't feel particularly sad to a lot of us who had processed it already. But I was also so taken off guard at being confronted face to face that it didn't strike me until today at what a selfish, bonkers, and totally inappropriate moment that was. Comment 2. With her needing financial help, I think this was the hint her mother was giving her. She was offering her friend a place to live and tried to dupe OP into feeling sorry for her. With the woman's entitled attitude, she would have been throwing her sadness and financial difficulties in your face as an excuse not to leave. NTA. She would have been bossing you around within a week.